At the mouth of the Bervrach, a coastal river in North Finistère that flows into the Iroise Sea, Sylvain Huchet,
I'll try not to fall overboard just yet.
biologist and shellfish farmer,
So far, so good.
and his friend Sten Mark begin a highly experimental fishing trip.
Stan, you've got to be careful because sometimes it gets unhooked. And you go with it. That's how we lost a few trainees.
In this cage, Sylvain raises some very rare shellfish that the top chefs are after.
Come on then, let's have a look.
Abalone.
The abalone here are 4 years old, and they're coming to maturity for us. They're plump, and I think they'll be served on fine tables. That's really the snail's attitude.
A luxury snail sold for up to €100 a kilo. The caviar of Brittany, traditionally cooked in a pan with parsley. So he's got green eyes. And that's a sign of intelligence. But Sten Mark isn't in it for the abalone. This man from Finistère is a cheese ripener, and he has a rather crazy way of aging his cheeses. He immerses them in the sea with the abalone.
In fact, it's a bleu Breton, a farmhouse raw milk cheese, made in the Côte d'Armor near Cap Fréhel. In fact, I used to protect the cheese with beeswax.
Matured at a depth of 10 meters, they become creamier with the pressure of water.
This slightly crazy idea actually came about during the inauguration of Sylvain's boat, because it's true that when he inaugurated this beautiful boat, we found ourselves on the quayside next to his workshop, and they had brought out a cage with bottles of wine, in fact, a great Burgundy wine. And we saw the bottles come out with the shells stuck to them. And that's when I got a little sparkle in my eye and thought, well, what the heck? Why don't I immerse cheeses like wine? And we started experimenting with Sylvain, and that's it.
It's the safe.
The cheeses will remain immersed for between 4 and 8 weeks.
Shall we go?
She's not gonna move.
Yes, she'll be fine.
They haven't announced any major storms in the next 4 days? No, that's for a week.
Basically, it won't move.
Sten hopes one day to be able to market this atypical blue cheese.
See you soon.
It's already got a name. Bleu d'Iroise. At the end of Brittany, the end of the land, Finistère. A name that evokes craggy coasts, wide open spaces, and wild moors. But also, and this is less well known, a land of gourmets where men and women perpetuate an ancestral cuisine.
So there you have it. We eat with our eyes first.
Some reinvent it.
We go for langoustine, my kind of thing.
And still others work tirelessly to create new flavors. A land of 1,000 riches, where those with a passion for taste and good food have to deal with another local peculiarity.
At the tip of the rat, in this weather, it's not very interesting because you can't see anything, except to come and eat good crepes. Artichoke, edible goat's cheese, preserved lemon, and a little pesto. Bon appétit. Thank you, Sten Mark.
Sten Mark, the man who immerses these Iroise blues, has one obsession: to make Brittany a land of cheeses. As a child, he was already scouring the region's markets with his parents.
Yes, it's summer.
At the age of 23, he set up his own business. Today, he has 10 employees and 3 trucks that crisscross the markets of Finistère.
I'm going to work on the blueprints, me and the girls. Is that okay? Yes, it's good.
10 years ago, Breton cheeses could be counted on the fingers of one hand.
We put the BZH logo on because it's important to put it on labels so that people can distinguish our Breton products from the others.
Sten can now offer around 30 of the 80 products in its shop window.
Let's go with our friends from Corsica, Brittany next to Corsica. How's that?
Brittany isn't a cheese country, because here milk has always been reserved for making butter.
We've got little blue cheese from the Côte d'Armor.
So the first challenge is to make people understand that there are good Breton cheeses. But this customer will stick with bleu d'Auvergne. Steen doesn't give up.
I'll serve you, sir. Then we also have a product, a great equivalent, but made in Brittany. Would you like to hear about it? La Pilette. Isn't that after aïeul, as in aïeul? Yes. Would you be interested in tasting it? Yes. Would you like a piece of the aïeul? Shall we have both? Here we go.
A long education that's starting to pay off.
We're at 35 euros and 12 cents, please.
We've got quite a bit of cheese. It's Brittany where we meet. We have quite a lot. Worth the effort. And it's good to discover all that, in fact.
Sten Mark has helped create these Breton nuggets. His maturing cellars near Brest are a kind of nursery for him. It's here that he seeks to sublimate the work of a dozen local producers. On this day, he comes to pamper his famous Pilette, Cantal Breton produced in the Côte d'Armor.
Here, I'm actually removing the mushroom that grows on the surface, which gives us a little white covering to prevent it from growing too much. So here we are on, I'd say, almost prototypes because it hasn't been around for long. It's the only pressed paste with crushed curds to be found in Brittany.
He's still getting to know his babies. Every week he caresses them. He listens to them. He smells them. To study their aging process.
In fact, with each cheese, we play a little. The idea is to see how far you can push the maturing process and when you have to stop, so as not to go too far and go over to the dark side of the force and develop bad tastes. It could be bitterness, it could be, there are all kinds of strange tastes that can occur in cheese. It's a living product. Here, for example, I have quite young cheeses. And overall, I have the same cheese, but 6 months older.
Sten's dream is to one day see his cheeses enthroned on platters all over France. So, in addition to markets, to promote his cheeses, he has opened a 150 square meter tasting room right next to his cellars. An investment of almost €1 million for this establishment, which he opened 2 years ago.
So, listen, you're working on Marquis. Yeah, the one we talked about a little while ago, the fresh goat's cheese and seaweed Marquis.
In the kitchen, Johann Könedeck was poached from a Michelin restaurant to surprise people with his cheeses and fine food.
A little lettuce pesto to liven up our dish. And we can serve.
It's pretty, it's beautiful. First of all, I have a taste for nature. It's really good. It's really excellent. In fact, it's true that the trials we'd already done worked well, but here, real Breton maquis. What's that? Real Breton scrub. Real Breton scrub. Real smack, real smacking.
Braised maquis of Breton cheese is served the same day in the dining room.
It's the first time I've tasted it, and it's true that it's very interesting in terms of texture and taste.
It stays in the mouth, it's nice.
It's just what you need. It's
On this tasting board, at €18, there are also nems with Breton tome. Daring combinations right up to the sweet and savory dessert.
The chocolate heart in which you'll find organic Castelneva.
A Neuchâtel-type cheese has been placed in the center of the fondant. Steen wants to make an impression so that his customers remember that there are Breton cheeses. But he also knows that these products have to be out of the ordinary if they are to make a name for themselves. And to do that, he needs an exceptional cellar like that of Roquefort or Comté. After 20 years of searching, he thinks he's finally found it.
It's a bit far-fetched.
He's a bit of a rogue. I pass it everywhere, the Painfeld forts.
Fort Pinfeld, a Vauban-type fort built in the 18th century. It protected Brest from attackers. Sten is currently in discussions with the Guilherme Town Council, which owns the fort, to obtain a mining permit.
Here we have vaulted tunnels. You could say almost it's ideal for air circulation.
The flavor of cheese is always shaped by the place where it's matured.
This is our pretty room, in fact. We've got plenty of height, plenty of width. Anyway, I'm pretty confident about the result because we know very well that it works, because in other regions they do it. And so, you see, one of my dreams is to be able to have shelves on either side of this tunnel and to be able to have lots of cheese. Anyway, I really hope it comes true because, well, it's hot though.
It's a project close to your heart.
Well, yes. You know, when you're born into it, that behind it, you can make dreams come true, big projects like that too. Yeah, sorry about that.
Fort Pinfeld may one day give birth to Brittany's first controlled origin cheese. The quest for recognition is a driving force for many Breton gourmets, even when the reputation of their products seems already established. At a time when Douarnenez is still sleepy, Thierry Lucas' day is off to a flying start. During the summer season, this 55-year-old baker has to deliver to around 30 establishments in the town every day. He has been entrusted with all the hotel codes. He's part of the town's walls.
You know, everyone here, yes, but I've lived in Douarnenez for 55 years. Yes, yes, yes. I know quite a few people, yes. Here we come to the Vieux Port. This is the Vieux Port d'Année, where all the little barges on the Saint-Denis used to dock. Here we have the famous Cellars, where all the children of Douarnenez learned to swim. I learned to swim when I was 7 or 8, and the tradition goes on. It's funny,
Thierry is the guarantor of another of the town's traditions, which he defends against all odds. A culinary specialty born here, it moves the crowds in his bakery.
No, we're going to bake 12 again. 12 small, 8 medium, 4 large. We must have received 120 kilos of butter this morning.
Bruyne Man is Brittany's calorie bomb. Bread dough. A lot of butter. A lot of sugar.
So it's not all that fatty. And the bread dough is almost 80% water. So it's almost a diet cake, you might say, almost.
Thierry Lucas has been making them all day long, over 700 a week since he took over his parents' bakery 30 years ago. And it's always the same recipe.
This was my father's role when he made his cakes. I kept it. And it's mine here, nobody touches it. Everyone has their own role to make the cake. A cook with his knives, we're the same. Like all bakers' children, when you're little, you always watch what your parents are doing. I learned to bake. I learned to bake when I was about 8 or 10. Maybe what I liked was the smell of the crust as it came out of the oven. I have lasting memories of that. It'll take about half an hour.
The kouign-amann must be both soft and caramelized. Then Thierry Lucas adds one last personal touch. A little sugar syrup.
A little, not a lot. Has the difference between with and without. It's still nicer with a little syrup. You eat with your eyes first.
These kouign-amann have barely had time to cool before they've already been snapped up.
Now we'll be able to make a bundle. I've packed the six of 8 are ready to...
It's one of the few cakes you can send by post. Sylvie, Thierry's wife, is in charge of dispatching the orders every morning.
These are the kouign-amann envelopes. These are the shipping cartons. The advantage of the kouign-amann is that it travels very well. It's not a fragile cake at all. It's not a cake that spoils either because the ingredients are simple and don't spoil easily, so it travels very well. So here we have a map that we've started to scratch out, a map that shows all the countries where we've shipped kouign-amann. Canada, the United States, Chile, Peru, Australia.
The cakes have even flown as far as Ushuaia, on the southern tip of Argentina.
I think it's funny that it travels so far that people get so nostalgic over a cake. I think it's funny. And what about the kouign-amann, a bit like the Bretons? They're everywhere. That's it exactly. You can find them all over the world.
As for Sylvie, she rarely eats kouign-amann, preferring the salty stuff. When she married Thierry 33 years ago, pastry making wasn't really her vocation.
I was a student and I wanted to be an economics teacher. In other words, back then I wanted to have the baker. I still do. I wanted the baker and there was the bakery to go with it, so there you go. Hello? Hello? 1 sugar of kouign-amann? Yes, for how many people? I've got 6 for 6, so they're a bit baked, aren't they? Yes, that's fine. Good, very good.
Each year the bakery sells around 50,000 kouign-amann, priced from 12 to 18 euros depending on size.
Goes to Brest, right?
That's 40% of its sales.
Thank you, goodbye.
He makes prosperity and notoriety of the Lucas Bakery. I've already tasted last September in Saint-Paul-de-Léon.
You can make artichokes, you can make cauliflower, but you can't make kouign-amann.
For the Lucas family, authentic kouign-amann can only come from Douarnenez. The others are pale copies. Thierry has even been a member of an association for the defense of kouign-amann for 20 years.
These are all the newspaper articles I've kept since the start of our association. Here you can see us when we were at the Senate, at the Élysée Palace. We were at the Élysée for a garden party.
With other bakers from the town, he lobbied politicians to obtain a label. An indication of controlled origin, like Savoy Tomé or Vendée Brioche, Douarnenez kouign-amann.
The aim of our association was to assert loud and clear that kouign-amann is from Douarnenez and that it's a cake made from bread dough, butter and sugar. And that's all there is to it. It's not a cake, it's not a kouign-amann with apples, chocolate, tomato, jam, and I don't know what else. It makes me a little angry.
Thierry and the other Douarnenez bakers didn't get their label. But they won a small battle thanks to historians' research.
Here we are in front of the old bakery where the kouign-amann was born. At the time, it was Mr. and Mrs. Crozon's bakery. Today, it's a souvenir store. And 3 or 4 years ago, we put a plaque on the wall of this house to immortalize the event. In the photo, you can see Mr. Crozon, the baker, with the bundles of wood still beside him. It's important to protect him so as not to short-circuit the cake. With any industrialist who might want to take it over.
Despite 2 decades of fruitless battles, Thierry hasn't given up hope of obtaining a label for his Douarnenez kouign-amann. An hour's drive away, a couple of farmers want to restore the image of a much maligned product, the pig, a symbol of intensive farming in Brittany. On the menu, Guillaume's animals, Plaugastel strawberries salvaged from a local grower's unsold stock.
Do they like strawberries? They're not fussy. They're a pleasure to look at, because at least they have appetite. But that's not all. And that's for the vitamins, which are nice. But the big thing is, so the basic diet is cereals and milk. But intrinsically here, they can find mushrooms, tubers, by digging.
Guillaume and Séverine Roland want to restore Breton pork to its former glory. The little beasts, some weighing up to 100 kilos, roam freely in the undergrowth. They only come out for lunch. The rest of the time, 20 hectares of playground are open to them.
Swimming pool is the spa.
Their life is short, 6 months, but a happy one.
We offer them a nice life. They have enough to eat, to blossom, and then yes, it's to eat them, but they don't know.
All the way.
They're not told.
They don't have the order. At the same time, we're going to die too, but they're so cute. What's interesting is having a good life.
These two breeders fell in love with each other while studying for their BTS in agriculture. They worked for 10 years on intensive livestock farms.
Oh, they're in the background.
When disgusted, they gave up and started a farm with just 4 pigs.
Here are Penelope, Sashella, and her sister, the brown one, Puce. Hortense and Noemi.
Today they have 130 pigs and sell their meat all over Brittany.
What's interesting now is not the pig from the Curvelavel farm. It's no longer Guillaume and Séverine's pig, it's Plaugastel's pig. So all the same, it's a nice recognition.
Every day, Guillaume delivers to his customers all over Finistère. He values this direct relationship between producer and consumer.
When you see the old-timers saying to me, "This looks like my mum's blood sausage," it's really gratifying. It's so gratifying that it got to the ears of a supermarket in my region that wanted to work with me. She was pretty fed up that he had a piece of pig. They killed everything. Delicatessen, agriculture, they're attacking everything. Banks, travel, pharmacy. They're bastards. I'm allowed to say that.
There's no supermarket in this parking lot, but a restaurant with 2 Michelin stars. Hello? His customer is Olivier Bellin, a famous chef from Brittany.
I'd kiss you, but I shouldn't. Boudin de Séverine.
Filet mignon.
The chef tasted Guillaume's products 6 years ago. A revelation.
There are onions. Roast de Roscoff, please. Roast de Roscoff onions, and you can eat them raw like that. It's magical, a little coarser.
A tribute to the Plaugastel pig at one of Brittany's finest restaurants.
I wasn't expecting it. It was through chance discussions bouncing around that I met Olivier Bellin. Olivier tastes it. It's the best. Me, I stayed.
A bit crow. At the time, I told him it was a work of art. He told me I was talking funny, but yes, it's a work of art. When you see these animals lying down, the hair on the little ones, it's fabulous. So you see beyond that, there's a respect. So he's a precursor. He's a precursor. But if tomorrow we don't move in that direction, we're dead.
Olivier Bellin has become an ambassador for good Breton food. A talent scout. In Plomodienne, a small town of 2,000 inhabitants at the entrance to the Crozon Peninsula, this Breton chef has succeeded in transforming his auberge des Glaziques from a simple worker's inn into a relay and castle.
There will be 2 colons more cooked on the walk, and we chain together a language.
Today, 49-year-old Olivier Belen is aiming for the Holy Grail, the 3rd star.
And that's it.
With his brigade of 10 cooks, he lays claim to a typically Breton gastronomy. Compositions of tripe products married with seafood.
Is it lamb with periwinkles, lamb winkles?
No choice of teeth. It will enhance the dish a little. Raw tartare with filet mignon, and just a manche d'arrêt lamb with artichoke puree, and the artichoke rolled in salted fat. In other words, we're really in Brittany, and there we have a juice with bigorneau in choice. And we have oyster leaves. Careful now. Let's go. Take 2 bells, mademoiselle, please.
Combining turbo fillet with oyster.
So far, so good inside.
And andouille chips. Or this recipe for langoustine with black pudding cream.
A squeeze of lemon for freshness.
Or this lobster topped with the pig's head veal.
And there you have it.
A cuisine inspired by Olivier Belin's childhood on this tip of Finistère.
In my chef, it's super perfect. One thing that really got me going at one point was scallop tagliatelle with sausage. And it's true that it's something that has marked me because I loved it. It's true that I decided to work on it. So it's the meeting of the sea and the land that flows into the sea. That's where langoustine on black pudding, creamy black pudding, and lobster with pig's head veal come from. I'm a piece of land that flows into the sea. That's how we end up on my plate.
Between 65 and 230 euros a menu to discover these curious combinations.
So here, bluefish à la flamme, in other words, sardines accompanied by a sardine vinaigrette, tomato vinaigrette.
In summer, his restaurant is packed.
Would you like me to do the table bill, madame? I've already done it. Do you have a tray? Yes. Backstage.
Olivier Belin's mother, Marie-Noël, 76, keeps the accounts. She still hasn't got on the computer.
Hop on. It's a machine that wasn't of my generation, that I'm obliged to, how shall I put it? Tame? Tame, that's exactly the right word.
Mother and son have worked together for 22 years.
We have customers who come regularly. Sometimes I don't show up at the container, and I hear them. Is the mother still there? Is mom still here? I'm going to greet them because they're long-time customers, and customers like to be recognized. Here you go, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you, madame. Enjoy your evening.
Marie-Noël and her son are like an old couple, in the city as in the country.
Thank you for your visit. Thank you for your visit.
They still live together in the same house, 500 meters from the inn.
Here, I found you a little something. In the meantime, thank you. Remind you of something.
Yes, it does.
The father is absent that day.
A long time ago?
Les Glazies has been a family home for 4 generations. At the turn of the century, Marie-Noël's mother was already serving soup to visitors.
There were rings and horses were tied along the whole length.
In the 1960s, Marie-Noël decided to turn it into a working-class restaurant.
We used to come in here. There was the bar. Then there were the tables for the workers. There was a workers' menu every day except in summer. A soup. Then there was a second hot starter, scallops, beef tongue. Then there was a roast or steak, meat with French fries or steamed potatoes. And then dessert. There was no cheese, coffee, and all this for 5 francs 50, €1 per meal, all inclusive.
Gourmet child. Olivier grew up surrounded by ovens and decided to become a chef himself. He honed his skills with top chefs such as Joël Robuchon. Then at the age of 27, he returned home. He convinced his parents to transform the inn into a gourmet restaurant.
He wanted it, he wanted it, he wanted it. The sums involved were astronomical, so I put the brakes on. Besides, I know I wasn't doing him any favors if I didn't give him what he wanted. All right, then.
We argue, and then we're like...
You're the one who...
Says, it's me, it's always me.
He's the one who's very strong with his words, but since I'm his mother, I can overlook a lot of things. You've got...
Despite the renovations, Olivier struggles to attract customers, until a visit from a Parisian critic crowned him the little king of the end of the world. It's the beginning of success. Olivier won his first star in 2005, his second in 2010, and is now aiming for his third.
All know that the road ahead is a long one. Today, to get people from all over the world to come and visit you, you really have to write a cuisine of purity and with a very strong identity. So yes, that's what I'm working for. But then, I'm only 9 years old. That's the beginning of life.
That's what I always say. At 49, you still have 40 years of work ahead of you.
Maybe we'll make it.
I hope so for your sake.
To develop his cuisine, Olivier Belin continues to seek inspiration in his native Finistère.
We're on our way to a special place called Sten Mark. It's a sort of little cove where I used to come with my friends. Because normally some weeds must have appeared, seagrasses. We'll go and see if they've arrived.
The great chef would like to introduce more and more seaweed into his recipes.
So you see, this is spaghetti. And this can be eaten the same. We could make a tourmé with this, blanch for 10 seconds. And with a little CeraVe butter, it makes spaghetti of the sea. And you can eat it raw too. And the small, the more you can eat it raw. This is sea lettuce. You see, it's transduced. You can wrap fish, you can wrap vegetables, you can make a tartare too. So there you have it. We've got the techniques. It's up to you to adapt.
On the cove of his childhood, there's also this plant that grows on the rocky shores of the Atlantic. Sea chrysanthemums, also known as sea saddles.
You have to find the young shoots. You see, this is really good. It's got a little orange flavor. It's a little iodized, because in fact, when the tide comes in, there's this iodized side, of course. And above all, it's a little taste of orange, carrot, or even lemon. After that, it's up to you. When we punctuate our dishes, instead of using mountain herbs and things like that, we'll use this. And then we're completely in our own universe. And that's what you have to find. It took me a long time. It took me a long time, because I think you get better over the years. And I think my cooking, what I've been trying to tell people for 20 years at the auberge is starting to mature. And I've had several eras, several stages. And I'm in the process of understanding why I'm doing this.
And why I'm writing it here. If Olivier Belin wants to reach the heights of Breton gastronomy, another, even further west, has just risked everything to give one of Brittany's oldest symbols a fast. On the Pointe du Raz, the last piece of continental Europe before America, a man set out to fill a restaurant with haute couture crepes at takeaway prices. 34-year-old Stéphane Pichon opened his creperie just 10 days ago.
It's a childhood dream to open my own restaurant, so here it is at last. I've managed to bring my project to completion. And of course, yes, it's a lot of pressure.
For his first business, Stéphane took over L'Armen, a 130-seat restaurant. He put all his savings into it and took out a loan of 430,000 euros. The banks had good reason to trust him.
So, that's the prize I won in January. So I'm very proud.
The 2020 prize for the best crepe in France, and therefore in the world. He beat the best in the business with this galette made with seasonal vegetables and flowers. All on a pastry whose recipe he wants to keep secret.
crepe, we've got the wheat to make.
In fact, he asked us to blur out the dosages on this piece of paper.
Open wider, because the more you work it, the more elastic the dough will become.
For this adventure, he hired 3 crepe makers, a cook, and asked Marie-Line, his wife, a childminder, to stop working and help him in the kitchen.
I don't mind, no. Yeah, you have to do everything. I've done a bit of room work too.
Yeah, you have to do everything. You have to touch everything.
In this line of work, especially as a boss.
Then you can make me a bacon, chorizo, goat's cheese, tome, eggs, mirror.
For the past 3 days, Marilyn has been trying her hand at cooking crepes on her traditional Billy's hot plates.
I've got the sardine confit.
Yes. After that, when you've got a helping hand, it's fine.
Stefan is never far away to reassure her.
He's the first to warm up.
Then the helping hand is taken. The challenge of these crepiers is to offer original galettes made exclusively with fresh produce.
Is spinach, onion compote, and a little butter.
Always butter.
Always butter.
For the price of an ordinary crepe.
We have buckwheat. Here we have apple granita, sardine confit, and then a little salad to garnish, and that's it.
This is the galette pane sardine sold for €6.70.
What's this?
Bestiary, crab meat, pesto, and lemon zest.
All these recipes are Stefan's inventions. The most expensive is less than €9. And it's always a hit.
We've just come from Bordeaux and we're not used to eating this kind of food.
Like many, his customers didn't come by chance.
You don't have to eat sardines.
We saw that it was one of the best. That drew us in a little.
Noon, the room is almost full. About 60 covers in all. Just enough to pay the restaurant's bills. On the other hand, the terrace is deserted. 50 covers allowed. Well then, it's not good. Even if in Brittany bad weather means the certainty of sunshine afterwards. This doesn't really do Stefan any good, as he relies heavily on tourists.
La Pointe du Raz, in this weather, it's not very interesting because you can't see anything. No, but from Monday the weather's fine. All right, here we go.
Small consolation. The weather is finally allowing him to take a break. To give his restaurant every chance, Stefan is open 7 days a week. And until now, he'd only gone home to sleep.
Cuckoo.
He finds his children. Leah, 11 years old. Cedric, 9. And the youngest, Olivia, 6 months old.
They used to carry their daddy around in the middle of the day like this. This is the first time since the opening that I've taken a short break in the afternoon. It feels good. It's good because I haven't seen them since. When I leave, they're asleep. When I come back, they're asleep.
Since the opening of their restaurant 10 days ago,
I take the hit.
the couple's daily routine has been turned upside down. In their previous life, Stefan earned €2,500 a month as a chef. Marilyn, a nursery assistant, earned €1,400. Today, however, no salary. Their house is on loan from Stefan's brother. An adventure without a safety net and with a little anxiety.
Sometimes wouldn't it be better to be a cookery teacher or work in a central kitchen? And then make a little money on the side, and then you've got 17 hours at home. After that, unfortunately, it's something I can't control. It's that I'm ambitious, so I like work and I'm passionate about it. And I'm passionate
He's not happy in his job. Automatically, family life will suffer too. So no, 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 no. No, I'm happy for us, for him.
To stand out from the 1,600 other creperies in Brittany, Stéphane invents a new recipe every day. This afternoon, he meets a childhood friend, a fisherman, at the port of Audiernes.
Is it busy? How are you? I'm fine. Do you have any lobster? We'll take 3 pieces.
Is this water? Yes.
Okay, listen, come on, give me...
To keep his crepe du jour affordable, Stéphane is going to need a special price.
Can I come with you? Sure, 5 kilometers, perfect. Is the lobster good? Yeah, lobster. How much is it? I do 15 euros a kilo. Sounds great, very nice. Thanks a lot.
Half the price of a wholesaler.
That's the advantage of having fishing buddies. Oh yeah, right. Straight to the restaurant.
To put lobster on his menu, Stéphane will have to calculate the portions in each pancake. To the gram.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, nice. 30 to 35 there. I think we'll be pretty good, yeah. We'll be all right. I'm going to go to the limit of my margin because if you make a lobster crepe, you have to put lobster in it. Otherwise, people will make remarks.
With a lobster, Stéphane will be able to make around 15 crepes, each selling for 8 euros 5 years.
There's no secret to it. Secret to success is knowing how to count too. It's not just about being a good cook. You have to know how to count. It's essential. Otherwise, we're headed for disaster.
The lobsters are snacked.
Afterwards, you mustn't overcook them. Otherwise, they'll become ferocious.
Then placed on a galette and served with a beet coulis and a lemon and oyster chantilly. The recipe must then pass the tasting test with Marilyn.
Figure.
Very good, yeah.
She's a picky eater, so she's my first tester. When she likes it, she says so. When she doesn't like it...
That evening, the restaurant owner sold 6 lobster crepes.
It's beautiful already.
Paid his employees, his expenses, his loan. He needs to make 30,000 euros in sales every month. After 10 days open, Stéphane's horizon is clearing. In his first month of business, he has already achieved his first targets.